Welcome back to Standing on Business. This is your host, Aaron Robinson, and we're back with another one. All right, today's story feels like it could be out of the Bible, but it's a modern, raw, deep, personal, and it's also based on the movie Highest to Lowest. Y'all said, Lawrence said he's seen it. You haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. This dilemma, should I say, echoes Abraham's test with Isaac, Jonathan's loyalty to David, the Samaritan's compassion, and ultimately the ransom Christ paid for us all. So today, we're asking, what do you do when faith, friendship, and family and finances collide? Are y'all ready for the story? All right, let's do it. The story. I want everyone to meet David. He is a powerful real estate mogul and is known for having the best homes in the business. He started real estate at a young age and has a 40-year career in the real estate game. David also has a best friend named Paul, who is a pastor in the community and best friends with David. They grew up together in the neighborhood, and Paul is now David's pastor. David is in the process of buying a commercial building, and he wants to move on from the residential sector. He's risking much of his personal wealth as a collateral in this deal to get this commercial building. The deal will set his family up for the future, which will lead to his son one day taking over his business and providing for him and his family. All right, David's wife is a stay-at-home wife, and they have saved money for his son's college tuition, and this deal means a lot to David and his family's future. David and Paul have sons that are the same age and attend high school and church together, and they are now best friends just like David and Paul were. Just when the real estate deal is about to be finalized, David gets a phone call for a ransom demand. Early in the morning, his son Trey had been kidnapped. The kidnappers are asking for a large sum of money that will ruin David's financial plan to set his family back up for the future, and he is willing to risk it all for his son. However, crucially, it turns out they have the wrong kid. They've actually kidnapped Kyle, Paul's son, thinking that it was David's son since they were always together. They tell David that if they don't receive the large amount of money in 3 days, they will kill Kyle, Paul's son. So Paul and his wife are willing to give all they have, but it won't be enough to save Kyle. Paul wants David to sacrifice his deal and his family future to save his son Kyle, which could possibly leave David and his family homeless. Son with no college tuition, and when it's all said and done, David put all his money up for the real estate deal. And when he finally got his wife on board, he banked on his family fortune for this deal to go through. To pull out of this deal will risk everything from his family, since their family money is tied into this deal. So David faces a moral, financial, and emotional dilemma. Paying the ransom would threaten his business plans, but failing to act could mean harm to his pastor and best friend, son, who is also his son's best friend. His church members will dislike him if he doesn't do it. His best friend will have animosity towards him if he doesn't do it. David's marriage will be in shambles if he pulls out of this 40-year savings from this deal to save his friend's son, leaving him and his family extremely at risk with a hard road to bounce back. The kidnapper makes it clear that they thought they were taking David's son, not Paul's son. So the kidnappers want David to pay regardless. The question is, what would you do?
Well, for this one, hands down, morally, you have it. I mean, you do have a lot to think about with the finances in the future. Also, possible issues with the wife because of the finances. But then again, you thought it was your son at first. You were going to put up the money. Turns out to be your best friend's son. You're financially able to do it. Personally, I would do it regardless. Just due to the fact that, first of all, you got to get the police involved and everything like that. But giving up the money, it's gonna be hard to do. It's like you said, it's 40 years of savings. It's your future. It's everything that you got going on. But at the end of the day, morally, it's the right thing to do is to go ahead and put up the money for the ransom. That's like, again, this is your best friend's child. This is your son's best friend. Do you want to ruin that relationship from this? Do you want to risk the child being killed? And like I said, at first it was supposed to be your child anyway. So, hands down, yeah, I would put it up.
Now, let's say your wife ain't on board with. If it was your son, that's one thing, but your wife ain't on board. Yeah, your wife ain't on board. You talking about your family
Yeah,
finances and everything. Y'all gonna end up being struggling and stuff too. You still willing to?
I mean, he's the premier real estate agent in the area, right?
Yeah, but it's gonna be
take
hard
a
to
while.
bounce back.
It's gonna take a while to build it back up, but you're talking about someone's life.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I think if you got to consider what your wife is gonna say.
yeah. But me, I'm all about having discussions. So, well, sit down and talk about it. And if it's something she doesn't want, she feels like it's too much of a risk, you got to try to get it through to her some way, somehow. Um, but I know it's the family's money, but at the same time, like I said, you worked hard before to get it. You can work hard again to get it back. It may not be the same amount. Yes, time is ticking. You might be a little older. At the same time, looking at someone's life. And it's a family friend, life. It's not like just some random person.
It's your pastor.
It's your pastor's son. So
I don't know. I'm gonna let you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna let
so
you
the
cook.
question
So,
is, how real is the threat? Is this threat legit?
it's a legit
or-
threat.
It's a legit threat.
It's a legit threat.
he's
But I
kidnapped
mean,
already.
yeah, he's kidnapped
Right.
already.
Okay. And so did they say they were going to do harm to the kid if they don't get money in X amount of time? I mean, so what are the options in terms of if it doesn't happen? Because
They said
because
they're
Lawrence
gonna
is
kill
looking
him.
at that's what they said.
That's what they said. They were gonna kill him
3 days.
in 3 days.
So they're going to kill him in 3 days if they don't get the money.
Yes, that's what they said.
Well, then that's where I don't know if this family is saved, if they really trust in the Lord, because
I figured
prayer,
you would go on that route.
yeah,
Go ahead.
prayer
So
would
go
be
ahead.
important in terms of consulting the Lord to find out how should we move forward in this matter, knowing all the facts, knowing what was said, consulting the Lord on this, the whole family praying and seeking the Lord for some type of direction in terms of how should we move forward. So from a moral, I'm moving it to a spiritual place to see how they should move, rather than just say, okay, we understand the parties involved, but again, we got to include the Lord. I'm hearing pastors, the pastors,
The pastor's son is the one now kidnapped.
Right. So prayer
So
and
let me
seeking
can
the Lord,
I ask you this?
wisdom and counsel.
Are you giving that counsel to both the pastor and to the best friend David, Paul and David?
I'm saying we all need to pray.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
that because to me that is also a big ask for his best friend to ask him to put his whole family on the line
Mm-hmm.
and at risk as well,
Mm-hmm.
because they're to a certain degree it'll be a long time for them to bounce back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I understand morally what you want to say is the right thing to do. I believe spiritually, definitely. I think if you believe that God's going to pull you through this regardless, I think that it's easier said than done. Not to say that God can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
but you got a lot to think about as far as like just how y'all going to live afterwards, like the consequences for making that decision. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to go to it. You know what I mean? What's your take on it, Kyle?
Well, God forbid something was going to happen to this young man. In the story, he cannot be replaced. And you just mentioned consequences after the act. If they were not to put up the money, and if that were to go through, this young man losing his life. But, people can't be replaced. So I was leaning towards, I'm thinking about what Pastor Robinson was saying as well. Definitely pray in unison as well first and seek the Lord, see what he has to say about it. But we want to trust and believe at the same time, but we don't know in advance what's going to happen with anything. So this young man will lose his life and not be replaced. But things and stuff and money comes and goes. And I believe over time that can be rebuilt and restored. It might take longer than you'd like and anticipated, but I just think it would be more horrible and awful if something were to happen to the young man in this scenario. That seemingly would be worse when a life is lost.
I would have loved for Safir to be here because I think you two are speaking from a single person view. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But I could speak for myself. He obviously can speak for himself. I'm saying, like, being married, those type of decisions, you got to consider how it's going to affect you, how it's going to affect your wife, then how it's going to affect y'all two together, and how y'all going to weather the storm through all of this. And then I can also throw in, for me, also you have a son now who it's your responsibility to lead and guide your family during the decisions that you're making. So from the very beginning, believe that the moral thing to do would be to do that. But I also, as the leader of my household, got to count the costs on all of the, like, I need to be able to see, like, if I'm going to God for prayer, I need to be able to have him show me possible outcomes that I can maneuver to be able to take care of my responsibility still as a man. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't say, oh, well, morally there's a life. And I understand that part of it, but I'm just saying, like, for me, you have to, there's other things I have to weigh in as well. That's just as important. You know what I mean? To me, like, because you brought this up too. You said, well, you was willing to do it for your son. That, to me, that's a different scenario. That's my son. Like, you know what I mean? But now you're talking about somebody else's kid. And he's a family friend, the pastor's son. I get all that. And I'm not taking that, not discrediting that for what it's worth. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but I'm just saying that's something I have to mull over. That's not an easy choice to make. And if your wife ain't on board, I can't really see you pulling that off.
Because he may gain his son back.
Yeah.
You might lose your wife and your family.
Yeah.
And so you're making one family whole again, and then at the cost of,
True.
It's you know, well, when you brought in prayer, which I probably should have said first, you know, 'cause in my mind I'm saying that, you know, when I said for the family to come together and talk, of course prayer will be involved, to help, you know, get help from the Lord to make decision. At the same time, when you talk about the wife and everything, it's going to be a hard decision regardless. And that's why I was trying to get at, like, somehow you got to get her on your side, you know, just due to the fact that it's a life, you know. It's just hard to put this family back together, but separate your own family. Now you have to weigh that risk and that cost of that as well. Me personally, I think I would still do it because just in my mind, like, we may not be where we are at the moment, but we could get back or very close to it just due to my career and everything like that. And also he's a pastor, so how involved would the church congregation be with David as well?
David is not the pastor.
No, not David.
Are you talking about Paul?
But it's Paul's son now, not David's son, right?
I know, but it's a small community church, man.
Okay, so it's not too much money. But then again, if the community...
And here's the thing, hold on, I'll say this. David put all his money and finances on this deal, trying to set up for his future. So you talking about 40 years of your hard-earned money, you know what I mean? Your retirement, all that, you put it into this deal. So this deal was a for sure deal that's going to go through for you. But now you say that you're going to be the one to back out of the deal, which you already have a solid for sure deal to take all that money and wealth that you accumulated over the 40 years and put it on to the young man for your pastor's son.
Now, couldn't they, it's a small community church and all that,
Okay.
So the question is, could they bring this matter to the church and say, okay, we have an issue here, and maybe get other people involved, and maybe you don't have to put out all the money, but maybe some of it. It depends on, the makeup of the congregation in terms from a finance standpoint, whether or not they're willing to chip in, whether or not they all will ask for prayer and fast and say and seek the Lord on this, and maybe be able to help in some way financially.
So let me ask, take not to take your title away, but removing you from being a pastor for a moment. This happens, y'all get the call the next day, y'all call the church together, whether it be in person, on conference call, whatever. And let's say some of the other church members are not willing to put up the money, or they just don't got it.
Right.
So here's my question, but you are the only one that has it to be able to suffice, because they technically really was going after you and your kid. Would that change your answer? Or
No, because even though I'm not the pastor, I would still want my faith community to be involved.
and I'm saying if they're not interested in, not that they're not interested, but if they can't afford it, they
right,
can't
but I
afford
won't know until I ask. So one, I would have to ask. So then, if that's not the case, then so I would have to think of ways the Lord to give me some options in terms of how to do this, so that the risk is not all on
you.
me losing all my money. Maybe the congregation might know of some other people, using the resources. Maybe they might know something that I don't know that might be able to help out the situation. So if they don't have it, they might say, well, I know a friend, or I know some type of, some other resources or people that might be able to come through. But you won't know that if you're going to take the whole responsibility on yourself. It's either me, my family putting up all this money, and then, to save the life without checking out all the other options that you might have.
Also, oh no, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Also, has this story hit the media yet? Because that'll make a difference as well. As far as maybe getting funds, and people just give away money sometimes with situations like that to help out.
You only got 3 days though, man. Even
GoFundMe. I mean,
GoFundMe, or donations or whatever. People do that. You see it a lot in this day and age with most social media and the news and things like that. It may not be there a full amount,
but it'll
help and take some of the burden off of you losing all your wealth.
Let me say this. So let's keep that in consideration. All right. So you get donations in 3 days. Off the rip, let's say people donate. Like, if you put in all your 40 years in lifetime savings, that means that the amount of money is substantial, right? So within 3 days, I don't see anyone being able to raise enough money for you to not have to substantially put out a lot of money where you'll be well off on the other side of this.
I hear that Kamala Harris did it.
But that's an assumption. You really don't know that.
I got you.
Because what you're looking at is the 3 days. You're saying within 3 days, I don't think, but you never know. Miracles can take place. God can open the door. Someone can come through within a day. So that's where your faith has to be
I got you. Test. Let me come to you in this one. So given that belief, faith, those doors can open, at the end of the day, it's still got to make a decision with you and your family. You know what I mean? Yes. So you got to prepare, regardless of, because within the 3 days, we won't know until the final day how much money is being collected or whatever the case may be. So my question to you is, what would your decision be after seeing all of that, after the collection of the money, it's about to be the due date time? Are you saying, hey, whatever they did collectively, so on and so forth, I'm just going to give a portion as well, or are you covering the full balance of whatever else? Or are you not chipping in at all? What is your decision?
No, I would chip in for sure, but obviously and collectively, hopefully others will be doing the same.
Well, they are doing the same. It's just that they are not being able to put out as much as. Remember, you are a real estate mogul, man.
I have to still need some external resources then, or from the outside for some other people, somewhere, somehow, prayerfully, to help absorb some of the costs. You know, maybe someone will show up through someone else for more, you know, to add to the bundle to pay this off.
And let me not take away from what he was saying, because God can open up doors and resources in that short amount of time. I'm not taking nothing away from that and saying that God can't do it. I'm also saying throughout life, sometimes good people go through bad things as well. So at the end of the day, you still got to prepare for the worst, whatever that worst may be. You know what I mean? Even in having faith and everything else, you know, you just got to, I don't know. Sometimes you only can ask God, yo. I guess when we meet face to face, I get an answer for this one. You know what I mean? But sometimes things don't go the way you want it to go. So at the end of the day, again, I'm not saying that faith, you know what I mean, it's not warranted here. I'm just saying that as the head of your house, you still got to make preparations, and a decision has to be put out. So let me ask this question and just get this again. Let's say you guys are married. Your wife is not, she's not with y'all, putting your whole family at risk. Or, because I know you said regardless, you would make your decision is morally still.
It's still going to be a moral decision. I would like for her to be on board.
Let's say she's not on board though.
See, I think I might have to take that risk, you know.
You'll put your family at risk for that?
I don't see, this is the reason why I'm saying this also. I don't feel like that's all his money. If he's that high up on the chain, you know, on the board, I'm sure he has other liquid assets somewhere. You know, so it's not going to be the.
Who you talking about? You?
No, David.
But you're David. You're David.
Right. So if
all your money is tied into this last deal for your family.
It wouldn't be, because even that's a risk.
Well, he knew it's a for sure win that you're going to come out on top on it. This deal was pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's going to put your family future in a position where y'all good for.
But the deal is a contract, but he's getting paid off of it, right?
However you want to look at it, man. At the end of the day, it's a deal where it puts him and his family future solidified. And now that deal is at risk, because if you pull out of the deal, you know what I'm saying, you're then taking your finance and resources and moving it to address the situation, which is something that you're not going to get back in return. Right.
And then, you know, also with that, like if it is a contract, it might be breach of contract. You've seen it in the movie as well. It might be a breach of contract. So that might cause an issue where you get, now on top of you giving out this money, you get sued. And now,
but the main thing is, are you making the decision? That's what made me think of this whole episode in the first place. Are you willing to make that decision?
To be totally honest with you, it's a hard decision, but just the type of person I am, you know, personally, I'm not gonna say I feel obligated to do it, but it's the right thing to do.
Even if your wife is not with it? Even
if the wife is not with it. And again, we'll have the conversation, we'll pray on it and everything. And I'll pray that she stay with me, you know, to be honest with you. I don't want to put my family at risk, but at the same time, it's because of me. The whole situation is because of me. You gotta look at it like that too.
Your wife is not with it.
I'm believing, I'm not taking the saying that it's not going to, I'm believing it's going to come through, so that I'm not faced with that decision where I have to give everything up for that. I'm believing that it's going to come through.
So that means that so you staying with your deal then?
Yeah, I'm staying with my deal because I know that my faith is going to help and all that is going to help bring things into the situation. So giving that up is not an option. I believe the Lord's going to come through for me. No, now, I like that answer, but
no, it's not that. That's a solid, strong,
like with no humanistic side to it. That's all it's faith.
The Lord's coming through for me on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say that the results didn't happen the way that you thought the Lord was going to come through for you on. You willing to face the music to go along with that? Like, because there is going to be some blowback if the son actually then dies and you could have helped out and you stood on business as far as saying that my faith, I put it all on God. So are you saying that I'm not responsible? You got to deal with God and see God? Like, what would be your
No,
response to that?
the bottom. I say the faith is strong in the way. He's coming through. He's coming through.
You're not trying to go through
You're
those
right.
process.
He's coming through.
Oh man.
So I'm putting a twist in this thing.
What's your response? We all can't land the plane like him.
Oh, and I'm absolutely all for praying and believing the Lord will work it out and everything will be fine. And it's a tough call, but we never know in advance how the scenario will play out. But for me personally, I could have it on my conscience that something happened to this young man and I was able.
So you would risk your family, your marriage and everything off of this decision?
So again, in this scenario, I'm married with family. I believe the young man's life is more valuable and important in the scenario, and I would just have to deal with the consequences with the family. But believe and trust we will bounce back and rebound from this. But it'd be too much for me. It would eat me up inside if something happened to the young man. I'm sorry. That's just how I'm thinking.
So regardless of how it goes down, you just standing on that.
Yes.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
The pastor whose child it is, what is his finances like to put toward it?
They risking it all too.
So both of them are.
But his risking is totally
So it's
different.
not going to be.
It's
as,
not.
as
Yeah, it's
much.
still substantial.
Yeah. And then again, like I said, if people came after my son, they just mistakenly took the other one. So it's still on me, at the end of the day. That's how I look at it. It's still on me because it began with me. They came after me. Just the wrong person got taken.
I agree with you and disagree with you. I agree with you. Like, I can't, if I'm walking down the street and somebody was aiming at me and shot their gun at me and they totally missed and hit an innocent bystander, I'm sad that the innocent bystander, but I'm not the one. To me, the person that's responsible for the shooting is the person that shot. You know what I mean? Not, even though they was aiming at me, if they coming at me, I can't bear the responsibility of the shooter. You know what I mean? For whatever reason it went down. So for me personally, see, I don't know if it's, I'm married. I have to consider all options. I would tell you this. I wish personally that my faith was as strong as his, where I can just be like, yo, and we all should have, pursue and have that faith. I just know from my personal experience, it just don't always go. You know what I mean? I'm one of them guys where I watch certain things, or even in Bible stories you read, you're like, yo, why does always the good guy gotta take the losses? You know what I mean? Seem like always the good ones is to take the losses and has to go through this whole, you know what I mean, situation just to come out on top on the other side, but take some losses on the way. You know what I mean? So to me, I'm also a person that look at the story and be like, well, maybe if the son dies, maybe his impact maybe God wanted it to happen so his impact will save other people's lives or something of that sort. You know what I mean? I would try to analyze it in multiple different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because I just know that sometimes things just don't go the way you want it to go. It's just life.
But at the end of the day, if you're in the will of the Lord or if you're seeking the Lord, it's going to go His way.
His way.
At the end of the,
But his way may not be the kid staying alive. That's what I'm saying.
right.
It may not. I don't have any control over that.
Mm-hmm.
I can only control what my actions are in this whole course of doing, you know what I mean? And where my heart is at. See, because at the end of the day, morally, I think we all can agree you would want to do whatever you can to help the person out.
Mhm.
Responsibility, though, I got a responsibility to my wife first before anybody else. You know what I mean? I took an oath for that.
That's totally understood.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
yeah. So, you know what I mean? I got a responsibility outside of Christ, above everyone else. You know what I mean? So I have to, you know what I mean, consider how this is going to affect her and my family.
Because from the covenant standpoint, you're saying you and your wife or the husband and wife are one.
Yes.
And so for one to go ahead and do something, unless the Lord is strongly directing and the wife comes to agreement that this is what the Lord wants us to do.
But the Lord
you
got to
can't
talk to
just-
her first
Exactly.
and get her,
If
touch
not,
her heart.
then you're violating, you're putting this friend's son
Over your family,
over
your wife.
over your wife.
And that's a no-no.
Right. So that's the other thing. Because you're one, so you got to be one in the decision.
This is why I say, hopefully that conversation and that prayer will lead her heart to, you know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, even with you, Kyle, like you said, I still would do it. I'm saying for me, God would have to work on her heart as soon as possible and get her to be on board for you to be able to make that decision. Like I can't, speaking personally, yeah, you can morally make that decision, but when you got other dominoes to worry about that, you know what I mean, that'll, you know, fall, if things don't fall in line the way you want it to, you gotta think about you and her being one first before you say, oh, I'm just gonna do it regardless because I couldn't live with myself without it. Like, it's not, for me, I guess that's just not how it works. You know what I mean?
I hear that. Yeah.
There's in this story, there's just a lot of variables. You don't know which way, you know. That's why I like your attitude. Just
So that's where
put it in
faith,
God's hands.
faith comes in. You have to put it in His hands.
There's a lot of layers to
Yeah,
this.
it is a lot of
Yes.
there's a lot of layers to this onion.
Because it could go that you pay the money and they still kill the kids. So
True.
Yeah.
there's a lot of angles to it, so
Yeah.
you don't know.
All right, so let's say you paid the money and he still killed the kid.
And we're all messed up. Everybody messed up. There's gonna be a lot of grief there, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so if you're going to be mad at anything, what would you internally be mad at?
As far as
Because you made the decision. Let's say they killed the kid and took the money.
well, you know, I'll be a little upset with myself, but not totally, because I would still stand on, you know, that was my decision. You just gotta, you know, when you make a decision, you gotta stand on it. And that's it, really, to be honest with you. I will be sad. I will feel bad for my friend because he's lost his son. You know, I possibly might have lost my wife as well. So I you know, I might be a little messed up for a little while.
Would you think to yourself, not to cut you off, but would you think to yourself, I wish I would have chose differently?
No.
You wouldn't ponder that?
No, you know why? Because, you know, I said on the last episode, choices, decisions, consequences, whatever your decision is, whatever the outcome is, it's
You have to
gonna
live
be.
with it.
Yep.
Just gotta live with it. I got you. But that's more the reason why making the choice, you gotta put so much thought into the decision you make.
It's a lot to it. It is a lot to it.
So we already know he's not making the decision. He's
Leaving that
standing
man off it.
Are you making the decision? You saying you still, regardless of how it affects you, your family, all of that put on the plate, you still making the decision morally to do it?
I believe so, yes.
You bring up your family for this decision?
We'll have to consult the family first.
But if they say no,
If they not with it.
they're not on board. Only
Yeah.
you on board.
Only you on board. Maybe your son is on board because that's his best friend. But your son don't really understand the consequences. He just wants you might have to sit him down and walk him through the consequences.
Yeah, it's a lot to ponder, and the family could tear up the whole family too. So it's
So what's the decision you would make though? You still making this decision to do it?
it's a tough one. It's tough.
I would come back to you, man. You got to stand on something though.
So you got to
Yeah.
you got to understand covenant. You know, because if the wife is not in agreement,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly not in agreement, and if you understand covenant that the two are one and that you have to make this decision together, your wife is more important. It should be prioritized than the friend's son, because you didn't create the predicament. You've been invited into the situation
Yes.
because of what you have, your cash and your savings.
Yeah.
And the wife is looking at it from her standpoint that we sacrifice for this as well. And it's a money thing, but it comes down to covenant, coming together, being one in this. And so if you're willing to make the decision to disregard your wife for this, then the wife is wondering, what type of man do I have here now that this is, that you're going to, are you going to be, everybody else is going to come first? Or, so it's going to be a test in your relationship and your covenant.
See, when you put it like that makes it a lot harder, just due to the fact that, especially if you got married in a church and everything, the covenant part, that makes, I didn't think about that in the very beginning, and that makes a big difference, because either way, even with the prayer and everything, you still made a covenant with God with this person as your wife. So it's like, that kind of voids everything out, it's.
So let me tell you what I would do. Being that I know he's standing solid on his answer, and y'all two are in turmoil with yours to a certain degree. To a certain degree, I got you. Here's what I personally would do. My answer is doing 50-50. All right, this is my boy. I have a relationship with him. It's my man. 50 grand. Grew up. All of that. I also have a righteous duty to consider my family. I am willing to pull out of my deal after consulting with my wife. If she's not on board, this is what I would tell her. All right, listen, I'm going to do something. I don't know to what degree it's going to be, but I am going to give some money. However, I'm going to pull out of this deal. Hopefully, after we give whatever I'm going to give, we can wait a couple years down the line, and maybe I could have the finances available to make a better deal or whatever, to secure this deal, some sort of deal like this again. And then I will give enough money that I possibly can give without affecting us as a family unit to be in a situation to where we weren't going to come out on top on the other end, on the other side. I will hopefully, if that changes my relationship with my friend, then it just has to. That's the consequences. I lose a friend for trying to help out. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, that's the unfortunate situation that comes out of it. But for me, morally and morally, I would want to do something. Not doing anything is not an option for me, personally.
So then,
hold on. I'm not coming against your answer.
No. I'm going to try to help you out.
But I would give something, but nothing that will put my family at risk. And not to say that I wouldn't even put my family at risk, but I wouldn't put my family severely at risk to the point where we're not good. You know what I'm saying? I owe it to my wife, especially if she's not on board, to make sure that however this plays out, me and my family is solid on the other side. And maybe even on the other side, if they lose the child or whatever, and they gave everything, how can we assist in their family get back on their feet? It's something of that sort. You know what I mean? Looking at it from those options. And hopefully my wife will be on board with that. You know what I'm saying? As a friend, if the son dies. Now, prayerfully, a solution overall will come. Like Pastor here is saying that he's standing on business on that, and that's what it is. But go ahead.
But when you said that you doing nothing is not an option, so then maybe you could present that to the wife, who's totally against giving away all the money. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
if she's not willing to give away all the money, then then the next question would be, what are we comfortable in doing?
But that's what I'm saying. I would say to her.
Yeah. So that's an option too.
So you saying you would do the same thing?
I'm saying I'm not going to put the decision of the son over the wife. So if the wife is 100% against it, then you may want to come back in prayer and say, okay, what do we feel comfortable doing? What
Well,
can we do?
So the
Or
wife
what-
is
what-
100% against you putting the whole family at risk,
Right.
right?
Not against not giving something.
Yeah,
That would be
because
a
if my
different
wife
angle.
was completely against giving something, I have to also look at her morally and be like, who did I marry to? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
So if she doesn't want to put the family at risk, then you go back and say, okay, what are we comfortable? What can we do? Okay, so let's pray on that. You're not willing to put your family at risk. I don't want to put the family at risk. I don't want to break up our covenant. So let's pray and get some direction, counsel from the Lord as to what we can agree on, if anything. And then, we've only got 3 days to do this, so let's see what we can agree on. But at the end of the day, I'm not willing to put that boy over you. I'm willing to, so that's another way of doing it.
But that's kind of like what I said in the beginning about, coming to the church, coming to the community, getting it out on media where they may have a GoFundMe or some type of donation where the full burden is not on you, where that'll help to take away from that high risk.
I agree with everything you said. My only pushback for what you said, and even for what me and my wife my family may be willing to give, is if it's not substantially enough to suffice for what they're asking for, my friend needs to prepare mentally that there may be a situation that comes out where, because he's the pastor, his faith need to be stronger than my faith in this particular situation. He need to be believing some way, somehow, that God gonna open up doors and so on and so forth. And I'm saying that jokingly, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can't be more firm than him in my decision making, regardless of how this plays out. So I'm looking, because I'm also going to be looking for him for guidance as a pastor too. Like, he needs to figure out how he can come to the realization that whatever outcome is, his faith in God got to be strong too. You know what I mean? And he could be able to weather the storm, or however the results of the storm is, in my personal opinion. But so yeah, when you said the church and everybody resources, I would love for all the resources to be taken care of by the collective. But the reality is they're going really after your money. And that means they're going after big bucks. So big bucks, to me, the ask is going to be very high. Where 3 days is probably not going to be enough time to put together a GoFundMe and this, that, and the third, which the burden of finances is going to be on you, however you want to look at it. And I'm saying that I'm willing to put some of the burden on me, but not at the losing my family. Yes.
See, but the pastor is the one that's going after the money for the friend. The person that's holding him hostage, he doesn't care where the money comes.
Yeah.
This is a set amount. And so now it's not the man holding the son going after the friend's money.
No.
It's the pastor now saying, I need your money.
Yeah,
Right. So he has to come up, like you said, his faith has to kick in, and he has to trust the Lord and that, because he's going after his friend's money. The person, the ransom guy, he doesn't care
where the money come from.
He don't care where it comes from. Just, I need this in 3 days.
And what burden does, even though again, we talked, because you brought that up too, that that they were coming after you and your son, and circumstances play out to where the pastor, who's your best friend now, is the one that dealing with losing his son, or whatever the case may be, if it comes to that. How much of the responsibility are you going to take on that, and what responsibility do we place on the pastor, who is also his dad? You know what I'm saying? How much responsibility does he? Because if I was willing to lose it all, that was me and my wife, that's my son. All right, cool. You willing to lose it all, and you're losing it all is not enough. I don't expect you to expect that burden fully on me neither. Like, you need to figure out how to. It's on you to also to go dumb hard to fight for your son and figure other resources out.
But that's why I said, what do you have saved? What do you have going on? Plus, use your resource.
Right, bring them
I got
to
you,
the church.
but I'm saying, because you're saying that regardless, the expectation is still going to be on you to
Yeah,
morally
you're gonna morally feel it, of course. But like I said, I did say that you want to look for other sources as well. At the same time,
I don't
yeah,
feel
I'm
that that's
still
my
gonna.
responsibility to look for other sources. It's my responsibility to make sure that I can participate in whatever way me and my family.
But the pastor has to look for
Yeah,
other sources.
it's on this. Then
Not
on the
him.
pastor to now, even though the situation played out how it played out. Like I said, the shooter intent was to shoot. It's not because I didn't get hit. Now it's my responsibility. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I get that.
It's the dad now who has to do everything he can.
That's why I said at the onset he need to call his church together and say, look, this is my situation. Are my friends willing to help me or whatever it is, but I'm going to need the collective. I'm going to need everyone to see what they can do and use find out what resources are available so that his friend is not putting his family and his savings, all of it at risk.
For me, because the way you stated the question, I'm still gonna feel some sort of guilt or some sort of something for a while. It's not gonna be forever, but I'm gonna feel something because once again, it originally was supposed to be on me. Somehow, the bullet passed me and hit my friend, and I'm still gonna feel a certain type of way. Some sort of help has to be
Right.
I would feel like I would have to do something.
Yeah, the compassion would kick
Right,
in.
exactly.
Right.
But so that's the same thing I'm saying. I'm not risking it all
not
for
risking
my
all.
messing up
Right.
my family.
Now, in the very beginning, I did say, yeah, hands down.
Give 'em all.
But then, as you're thinking about it, you have a pastor, so he's a person of the community. He has a church, as well as, again, media.
They might have other connections.
You have
and stuff
all the
like that.
different connections, and like you said, maybe those particular people in the church might not be able to do anything,
But they
or
might
they
know
have
people.
resources. They might have someone that they know that could come in and help.
So are you changing your answer?
I'm not. No, I'm kind of like
Shifting
putting it
a little
together,
bit.
like put it together. So my answer is yes, I would do it. At the same time, let's see where else can we find some other money, so it doesn't have to be all mine.
But you were willing to risk it
But
all.
I'm willing to do it now. Again, when it comes back to covenant, that will make me change my answer fully.
So then you are changing your answer.
No, I said that will make me change.
Well, because in the scenario you're married.
Scenario, right?
Yeah, in the scenario you're married.
Because you kind of messed me up with that when he do that, because I'm thinking like covenant with God and my wife, covenant with God. That's bad to break. You don't want to break that. So.
And what about you, Kyle?
I'm slipping and sliding a little bit.
Well,
Are you changing your answer?
Well, you brought up the marriage covenant piece, which comes first. God did ordain marriage for man and woman, and we have to honor that. I understand that, but see, in my mind, because I'm not married and haven't been
But in
married.
this scenario,
Yeah.
So
in the
I'm-
scenario you are married.
Yeah.
yes, but still.
so you're thinking as if you're single?
Yes, but I understand the point of the covenant first and foremost. So, and you have to put that into consideration first and honor that.
So you changing your answer?
Now that you're married.
Yeah, now that you're married.
If you're single, it'll be a different story.
See, that's true. I have to be honest. I think yes.
If you're
if I was single,
you're not in
I'd be
covenant,
more.
Yeah, you might be more willing to
Yes,
risk it all.
absolutely. But in a
now
marriage
the
scenario,
you
I have
got
to
to deal with
respect.
your wife and your family. Yeah.
Yes, first.
You got to
to
respect
be
that
honest.
first.
And
Yeah.
I do like what you said. Like if she's like, no, we're not going to risk everything.
What can we
Come
agree
back to
on?
the table. What can we do?
Mhm.
What do you feel comfortable with? I do agree with that.
All right. And if she said nothing, then that raises your question as to,
Yeah.
all right,
Who would
your
I
wife's
marry?
heart.
Yeah.
Who would I marry?
Yeah, exactly. Like
You
who
can't
would
be
I-
that evil, like
You
hating
have
your
no compassion.
no
Period.
compassion
Right.
at all.
No
Right.
empathy for anyone or anything.
Right.
That's
So I would try to push as much as I possibly can give without being at high risk to my own family and everything. But unfortunately, I believe that the situation warrants me compassionately to pull out of the deal that was a for sure deal to give some help. I just don't want to put me and mine at risk completely to where I'm like,
No.
yeah, I'm not
You
good.
backing me in the corner, man.
Well, to me, that was the reason why
Because
it's a
the
good
family got to
episode.
live.
Yeah.
I mean,
Your
you know,
family
after
gotta
the-
live.
After the decision is made, you know, you got to live with your family.
Again, so are we banking on the money from the deal, or are we banking on what we are? It's just the savings.
So
that
here's
we
the
have
thing.
already.
See, this is where I feel like me and him we stand solid on our decision, and where I feel like you're wavering back and forth, because to me you're morally wanting to do the right thing in your mind, which is to give the money, and maybe you're kind of in a similar situation with Kyle because you're looking at it from this may just strictly affect you and not being married from that standpoint. But that may not be the case. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But the reason why I say we're going back and forth in this scenario is because you're hoping and praying that the community and other resources and so on and so forth is going to come out with a substantial amount of money where it makes the decision a lot easier for you to help out. And I'm saying, and he's saying he believing in God. I'm saying I'm going to give, regardless of the community or whatever it is, raise enough money or don't raise enough money. I'm living with I'm standing on the decision that I'm making. Whatever me and my family can donate and give to the situation, that it is what it is. And if my friend has to accept that, and if he doesn't, then and if our friendship changes from there or whatever the case may be, it just has to. I have to live with that decision that I'm making too. Whether I'm not gonna wrestle back and forth. Should I give more? Should I give less? Or this, that, like once me and my wife, because I agree with you, have that family discussion or whatever. But once I come out of that discussion, whatever I'm giving is what I'm giving. I'm not wavering or I'm not, let's see how much they raise first. This is what I can do and this is what it is. And I'm just gonna stand on that and I think that's what you're fighting with. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're a little off.
Okay.
What I'm fighting with is, all right. Obviously, we have a smart individual here who's good with finances. 40 years, you say this amount. But the reason why I'm asking about the deal, because you're talking about taking the deal off the table. That deal wasn't that supposed to set them to that place where they're straight, like for generations.
Yes.
Yeah. So without that deal, say that deal didn't exist. Like, what does the money look like? What other sources of income is coming other than just selling real estate? Because I know there's got to be something else there. Because even if you give, like, say they ask for, let's just say, 100 million, right? Just as I know it's an astronomical number, but say you and your wife agreeing to give half, 50 million, right? That's still a great amount of money, where, other people, you may not be able to build it up.
For me, that's not a simple math equation, though, because it depends on my lifestyle and.
This is my point,
Yes.
This is my point. Like, even with that 50 million, depending on your lifestyle, and your worth, 100 million or 150 million or whatever, you still need to make up that 50 million somewhere.
Right, that's why it's not an easy decision to say I'm gonna pull 50 million to help throw
That's
at
why
it.
I'm asking about the deal and everything. Is like, what is the money real? Like, what is it? All right, we're not looking at his we're looking at his net worth, his liquid money, his money, right? Because this is what it is. It's got to be liquid money.
In the story, everything that he had is tied into him. Like he put all his money together to make this deal happen. And this deal is a for sure deal that's going to go through that will put him and his family in a financial solid situation. But now if he pulls his money out, he's back where his square one again, where he at. Yeah.
So the deal is actually not him making money from the door, it's him actually putting out money. So
Yeah.
it's the same. Okay, so that makes
it to lock down.
So similar to the movie.
Yeah.
All right. So that makes it that's a different decision as well there, because you're taking all your resources already and putting it into this deal.
Yes.
Where from that deal is going to be lucrative after you pay what you pay. You're going to make that back. Plus, so like he said, he's going to put it in God's hand. You're not going to take away from the deal. at the same time, it's like still that life, that life, that person's life. That's where my moral thing comes from.
Right.
And it's and I understand the wife and the covenant and all of that stuff. Still, it's like the life of this person, this young man, partially because of someone was jealous or whatever and wanted to kidnap my child, even though it's not my child. I agree with helping out in some way, somehow. I'm just trying to navigate, like, what does his finances fully look like, Because we keep talking about the bounce back, If you give it all up for that deal, or do you give it all up for the child? I already said, try to find other resources as well. So it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of, it's a tough decision.
I appreciate the fact.
It's just a tough decision. I'm just
I
trying to
appreciate the
navigate
fact.
it all in
Yeah,
my
I
head.
appreciate the fact. If I was the guy, I would appreciate the fact that you were somehow, some way trying to navigate through this to come up with a solution. At the end of the day, though, it is what it is. And if you can't give what you can get, you can only give what you can give. And me being a responsible party, like being the dad whose kid got kidnapped, whatever my network resources can allot for me to, I can only give whatever I can give. And if it's not good enough, it is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? I don't really, and it's morally, it's a sad situation if you can't deliver for your child or whatever the case may be. But I mean, it is what it is. There's really nothing. It's out of your hands to a certain degree at that point.
So that's why I started back with saying faith first. So it doesn't mean I'm going to believe God, but it's also going to be a process. So when I believe God, I'm going to trust God for this. So that means I'm going to pray, and then, and then the Lord may give me counsel, or I go back and talk to your wife, see what she's willing. So it's going to be like a process. Have them go to the church to see. In other words, he's going to give counsel and guidance, some step by step. So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I'm trusting God to come through for this without me having to risk all of it. But it's going to be a process. It's not going to be, I'm just going to trust God and that's it. I'm going to have to pray, fast, speak to the wife, and say what we said earlier. What are you willing to do? Go to the church, find out what resources they have, and all that collaboration. I'm believing God is going to come through where I don't have to risk, the money in terms of having a rift between the family. But it's going to be a process. It's not going to be just me. So I'm going to trust God, and then that's the end of it. I mean, He's going to give me. He's going to give me some.
That's a hard bar, yeah.
Yeah. He's going to tell me what to do, how to do it, who to talk to, what doors can be opened. So that's why you got to be sensitive, be able to hear. Lord, what's the next steps? What do you want me to do? Should I go back and talk to the wife since she's stuck, or is she stubborn or not doing anything at all? Is there maybe pray that you change your heart? We can come together, come to agreement. All that kind of stuff. So it'd be like a process rather than just saying, I'm going to believe God and that's it. I mean, there's more to it. Faith requires action as well.
But God will have the last say no matter which way it plays out in the end, whether the way you want it to or not. And we've seen that through other avenues of life where you hope and pray this doesn't happen and it still goes the way you don't want it to go. You just have to deal with that going forward. And trust God that,
And sometimes we get in the way of God. Like even with I think you brought an example about Abraham sacrificing his son.
Yeah.
He followed God's instructions. But if you listen to the instructions, he says that you and the lad will return. Maybe Abraham missed that part.
Yeah.
But he followed God's instructions and put his son all the way up to, until he tied him and put him up on the altar. But then the Lord says, now and I know, which means, okay, now I know that you really fully trust me. There's a ram in the bush. But Abraham didn't hesitate. Whatever direction God spoke to him, he followed it fully. And if you listen to God's instruction, the way it ends is that the son and the lad is going to return. But if you miss that, you go, oh man, Abraham willing to put his son up there, have his son killed. Well, you have to listen to the whole scenario in terms of that. There is faith involved, but also God handling the situation as well in terms of what the outcome is going to be. But
Yeah, I believe that somehow, some way, God will show up and show out in a big way. Could be the cops find him before, you know what I mean? Like, I would lean on church family and everything for the prayer and support in that regards. You know what I mean? Praying for our family and and coming up with, even if we didn't financially could get the resources or whatever the case may be. I think it's equally important to have people in your corner praying, and that, you know, however the situation played, we praying for a favorable outcome. But however it goes, we can all, not just my immediate family, even the community, whoever my son's life affected, that we can all get something out of it, regardless of the outcome, and put our faith in God. Because I'm saying, like, the unfortunate thing is God, like, and I say this because I was just talking to a couple of guys that I do podcasting with internationally, and they were calling me up and asking me about the young man Charlie Kirk who passed away. And I was telling them, despite however your view is on Charlie Kirk or whatever the case may be, what I realized is that, and even today, I was looking at some stuff, like I didn't know how much of an impact he had internationally. Like, people in other countries got saved, and like his life had so much impact and had people coming back to Christ off because of his death. You know what I mean? And then it makes you change your perspective and say, man, if I was to go, I want to go and leave this earth with that type of impact. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If I was going to die, not that I would want to die and get shot and die, but if I had to go, or when is my time to go, I want my life to have some impact to where I'm making people come to Christ, because that's the ultimate thing that we live for, to point people to Christ. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that it wasn't planned for, it wasn't planned for him to die. It was, everything's in God's plan. But the impact that it seemingly seems that he has far outweigh, you know what I mean, probably what he would have been able to do on this earth, you know what I mean, alive. Yeah. And it's just like, yo, like that's amazing, and that's a true testament in itself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To me, you know what I mean? Right. So saying that maybe my son's death may have that type of impact, bring other people closer to God, and that ultimately that's what we should be living our lives for, in the long run. Mm-hmm. So sad situations can always have a good impact in it.
All things work together for good.
Yeah.
To them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose.
Any final words y'all want to? I'll start with you. I'll let him go last. I'll start with you, Gat.
No, I flip-flopped a little, but and to be honest with you, I think just due to the covenant part, the resources part, me putting up everything, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to say no, mm-hmm. But I'm going to say I'm not 100% sure, because there's so much, that detail that I didn't really think of when I first answered. But I think morally, people got to really look at situations like, this situation here, and really know that you have to make some type of decision somewhere, somehow. And if there's other people involved, it's something that you gentlemen just put me on. It made me think more when it comes to the full family, you can't really make a independent decision. It has to be, together, mm-hmm. But I always say come together, talk first. Mm-hmm. But still, I did say that I would do it regardless. Now I can flip on that, say, I wouldn't just do it regardless. Mm-hmm. I'll try to figure out something else. And as men, we're problem solvers anyway. Yeah. That's what we do. So it's not far-fetched for something mm-hmm. else to come up and to happen. Always keep the faith first, and that's the main thing. That's my biggest takeaway from here, is keep that faith first, and I think we'll be all right. Mm-hmm. I think everything will work out this way.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Kai? Any last words you want to?
Well, amen. Just seek God's counsel and faith first, and in this particular story or scenario or anything in life, and This is what I'm getting out of it. And trust and believe him first and let him lead you. And because a lot of people, this affects a lot of people, depending on your answer, what you do or what you don't do in these scenarios. So it affects family, friends, pastor in this situation. So just holding on to God's word, keep the faith, try to press through it. I'd probably have to, I hope I would never be in a situation like this, but if you're in it for real, that would really make a difference how you think and feel about it, what you would do if you were really for real in that mix and had to make a decision like that. But covenant again and family, putting that first, obviously. But it's also, I'll just say, trust God, keep praying, God bless, and we'll pray and hope for the best. So that's all I have to say.
All right, I'm gonna go next, and then I'll let you have the final words. One of the things in just having this conversation, I think it's good for men to get together and talk and discuss these type of things. What would you do, or whatever the case may be? I think we all were able to, like for instance, with me, it made me understand like, yo, the compassion part of it is necessary. You know what I'm saying? You know, the fact that you guys are willing to put it all on the line, you know what I mean? It lets me know like, all right, cool. Like these guys are, you know what I mean? If I ever needed, a situation like that, morally or compassionately, they will be willing to step in and help out, regardless of any situation. I think men need to have men around them who they can pull together and cover each other in that way. Not to put, from a covering standpoint, put a man above you covering, but I'm saying like just being able to, have people that can have your back, you know what I mean, and in certain situations and things. I remember growing up, my dad would always say, yo, if you go somewhere and you are far away and I'm the only person you can call to come get you out of the situation, that's a problem. You need to expand your resources and be able to have other people that you can call and look out for and this, that, and the third as well. Like, so, and even for me, just I would say, for me personally, this was an eye opener. Me and my wife just went to New York the other day for a birthday and came back, and we stuck at the train station. And in my head, I'm just like, man, like who can I call just to, I'll give you $50. Just come scoop me and take me home, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm going through my mind like, man, like everybody's either far away, this, that. And I'm like, yo, I gotta expand my network a little bit, man, because it's just like sometimes you need that when you're in the gym, you know what I mean? And for me, I'm just like, yo, if I would go somewhere else or catch the bus or this, that, and the third to be able to get home. And in my head, I'm like, I have to, however it goes, I have to end up going to Denellen to get the car. So, like, this is just a messed up situation. And as time is going by, and I'm just like, man, and my wife is looking at me. She's looking at me because she's expecting me to come up with a solution and not fuss at her, like, because she's the one that wanted to go. And I'm trying in my head, I'm trying not to get upset because I don't want, and that's another thing in this story. I feel like as the pastor or as David and our relationship with God, in this story, you still got to be the strong one for your family. You got to be solid, because when you go to your wife, like, you got to be prayed up with God to be able to even handle the situations of the choices you're making. And when he was saying seeking with, talking with your wife and discussing that too, you can't, you know what I mean? Because you got to be the rock for your family. In that situation the other day, I was trying to be the rock, but I was getting frustrated internally because I'm like, yo, there's no buses coming. Everywhere we turn, they saying this, that, and the third, and it's like, this ain't working out, man. And I'm mad at myself now because I'm like, I should be able to have another way to get home. And I didn't want to spend $80 to catch an Uber home, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't, I would have rather caught the bus and figure it out. But like texting the bus was gonna be like a 2-hour ride back home. It's just like the whole my options was not good
Expensive.
options. Yeah, it wasn't good options. And I would have been more frustrated at that part of it more so than being frustrated at my wife, because I did it because I wanted her to be happy. So, you know what I'm saying? And we had just talked about all that. But my whole point is, going back to you guys seem like, based off of the story and how y'all are mulling with the decision, that you know what I mean, you guys show your heart in that situation. And then Pops, you know what I mean, obviously the lesson I would learn from the conversation that we had is, at the end of the day, however it goes down, you just gotta have faith. You know what I mean, and be solid in your faith. And over the past years for myself, I can admit and say there have been times my faith has been shaky as well. You know what I mean? That's something that I'm personally trying to work on and build my relationship with God. Not to say my relationship with God is bad or anything. It's just that sometimes in my mind, I'm walking through the scenario and I'm trying to, like, however this plays out, God, you're going to have to, because it just don't look like it's coming through the way it's supposed to, the way I want it to. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's something I could personally say I'm working on, and everything. So in this situation, you know, you just got to, I would say that advice will get to anybody, yo. You just got to continue working on your faith and continue being solid. You know what I mean? Being a solid guy, solid character, and being somebody that other people will want to be knitted to you in that regards.
Yeah, so out of this scenario, the story, faith does play a big part. But in terms of our lives, we have to start with the small things, because it's going to be hard to try to muster up a lot of faith in the situation that was presented if you're not taking the small steps in faith. So faith must be an ongoing, every day. It's a growth. It's a process. So you start out with the small things and God, instead of handling those small things yourself. A lot of times we wait till something get big, then we're saying, well, have faith. Well, that's easier said than done. But if we start with the small things, acknowledging Him, the Bible says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to your own understanding, meaning your own way of thinking, your own way of trying to solve this, your own way of you thinking that, oh, I know how to handle this, so I'm not going to lean to the Lord on this. But our leaning, He says, lean not to our own understanding, because our understanding is more from a carnality standpoint, from an intellectual standpoint, instead of a spiritual standpoint. Lean not to your own understanding. It's not that we shouldn't have understanding, but we need to trust Him. We need to get a hold of His Word, so that His Word and faith in His Word takes precedent over things that we think we should do or might maybe morally right to do. And so, but in order for the faith to be expanded, we have to do it in small matters. So we take small steps of faith, and then they grow to bigger steps. So when you're faced with a situation like tonight's scenario, you can say, I'm going to trust God. I believe God's going to come through. How do you know that? Because He came through in the little smaller areas of life. So if I can trust Him in small matters, I can trust Him in big matters too. And then going to God, and then He tells us that in the multitude of counsel, there's safety. So talking to other people, trusting the Lord, and the Lord bringing other people to your life to help you navigate through these situations, because you don't know it all. And even though Lawrence may have started off morally, if he had gotten, with a group of other men or other people, they might have given some counsel, say, you know what, morally, that's a good thing. However, and then bring some other things into play. I didn't see it that way. But then in that multitude of counsel and prayer and all of that, then you're going to make there's going to be safety, so that whatever decision you make, you can rest in it and know that, God was involved in the whole process. So no matter how big or how small the situation is, always put your faith at work first and trust God to see you through it.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
That's a good word right there. Any shout outs? Anybody y'all want to shout out?
In terms of who might be watching?
Yeah, watching.
Well, if my wife is watching, shout out to Lady C, to my wife Caroline, and to any other family members and friends that might be watching. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of our podcast, or Aaron's podcast.
Shout out to the world, to anybody who's watching. Continue to support. It's a good podcast, good show, and thank you, Aaron. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kudos to
definitely.
Aaron. Yeah,
Appreciate you.
in terms
Appreciate
of,
you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so
bringing.
much.
Appreciate you. Appreciate
Yeah.
you, my God.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah.
Good, great conversation.
Yeah.
Yep. Good conversation.
With that being said, thanks for listening to Standing on Business. Be sure to share the episode, subscribe, let us know would you stand on, or what would you do? Would you fold, or would you stand on the decisions that you're making and stay grounded, stay faithful, and as we always say, be safe, be blessed, be well. Stand on business. We out of here. Holla at your boy.